Welcome back to another edition of the No Stopping Kev podcast. As always, people, thank you for being here. We love having you, and thanks for kicking it with us. Dad, how you doing?
I'm feeling good today, as usual. Every day above ground is a blessed day.
I hear that. I'm very sore today. Very sore.
I'm sore every day. It's funny that you mentioned that. I seen this thing where LeBron said, where once you start playing, you'll never be 100% again, and he was saying and what he meant by you'll never be 100% again, because you know what, you always going to have some aches and pains. Whether you did something yesterday or not, you still going to feel the day that you don't do anything. So it was kind of funny, and it kind of, it kind of touched me, and know that because some days how I got to get around how much pain I'm in,
I played pickup yesterday. I went down to your old stomping grounds, 10th and Lombard, and I had a good time. I was out there a good while. It was my first time playing pickup since February of 2020, so it's like 16 months since I've been out there, and it was hard. Before I went out there, I met up with Coach Dev, got some shots up. And, I walk into the playground, I see some familiar faces, and they was like, oh, yeah, y'all can take him, point guard. He's nice. I was like, whoa, listen, it's been a while. I was like, it's like 15, 16 months since I ran. So then I ended up on their team, which kind of helped me out because there's a little bit of the better team. I ain't going to lie. But, I got some buckets. But as the day went on, the jumper started falling less and less. But also my mechanics picked up more and more, because that's what I was struggling with the most, because when you haven't played in a while, your timing's off. So you'll see a defender and you're like, all right, I need to move the ball over here. But it takes forever to get your hand to the ball and move it back just because you're not fluid again. But by the end of the day, I was more fluid. And, probably the craziest thing, not the craziest thing, but, guys that show up to the playground that think they're nice, but they're really terrible. But they talk so much trash, that really pisses me off. Like if there isn't anything that pisses me off more, it's when guys talk like they're freaking D1 All-American guys, but you can't dribble with both your hands. You know what I'm saying? One dude came up, right? And, he go to the basket, make a layup. Then all I hear him say is, I'm busting y'all ass. And it's been a pretty friendly, back and forth games all day up until this point, right? Nobody really talking trash. People celebrate with their team as great sportsmanship, right? So he does that. And I look at my boy next to me and I'm like, but he sucks. I'm like, he's left. All he can do is go left. Dude, right about 6'2" old head, right? So then I was like, we gonna beat them when we play. So we get out there. I just I get matched up on him from time to time. I just send him all right. Or anytime he got the ball, I'm just yelling, he's a lefty. And that kind of neutralized him. But somebody else pissed me off. It was a little dude with Napoleon complex that he probably was about 5'2", thought he was so nice, right? All he did was reach from behind. So he got me one time, right? But after that, I was like, all right, I just got to make sure I put my body between him and the ball, and I'll be fine. Dude couldn't go left. So that neutralized them off the bat. And then there was one play in particular that they started talking to me, right? So I was already pissed because I didn't like the energy they was bringing to the court. But I go to the basket on the right side. I got the left-hand dude on me. I get by him. Then he had a big man that was a shot blocker, right, under the basket. So I couldn't go up normally because he waiting on that. He was going to send it. So I tried to go up with the left and scoop it. It went down and out, but I got hit in the back of the head. So I used the foul call. It was the only foul call I called all day, right? It could have been I could have let it go, but I was like, he kind of got me in the head. I wanted that. So I called it, right? So little man says to me, he goes, oh, you went up with the wrong hand anyway. So I looked at him, right? Because I'm like, all right, this is how I know you're trash, right? I was like, you do understand there's times where you have to use the left hand on the right side, right? I was like, you do know if I went over the right, that would have gotten blocked. He was like, well, it didn't get blocked. At that moment, I knew I was talking to an idiot. I was like, I know it didn't get blocked because I went up with the left hand. Then I was like, you can't even dribble with your left hand. You're not on my level. Just stop talking to me.
And that's what you said to him?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Like, just move. Because dude thought he was nice. Because I told you, as the day went on, I started hitting less and less jump shots. So he kept leaving me open like, he ain't about that. And I'm like, cool. I'm going to just keep shooting because I'm out here to get reps and cardio. Because Thursday, new basketball league starts. But yeah, that was yesterday. So I played about 7 games, went 5-2, but my body hurts today. So I know that was a lot I just said, but I got the bug back, baby. Chasing
never losing.
championship number 4 in Philadelphia sports leagues. But yeah, so when they start letting spectators come back, Dad, I'll have you in there. Hopefully by the time we're in the playoffs or midway through the season, we can get spectators back in there as the city open back up.
Okay.
Just like having you watch. How do you enjoy watching me play? Like, how is that for you now that I'm older and not a kid? Because you don't really coach me anymore, I think. Like, you might tell me something here and there. I feel like usually you're telling me something about one of my teammates.
Well, for me, I guess it's not no different. The only difference is that you're older now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like you're your own coach in a way. Yeah, I may see, like sometimes I might could point something out to you that you might not be focused on or paying too much attention because you in the moment of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes somebody can always see something that you don't see. And that's just in life. Like sometimes I could be focused where like now you helping me see things so much more than I've seen before, because sometimes I just see what I'm seeing. But like if I remain to be open and like, sometimes it's hard for me to be open, you know what I mean? But it helps me. And so sometimes on the court when you playing and you are playing, coaching, and I'm on the other sideline, yes, I could see something, or I might could say something, and it might help you see something, and maybe it's still there, or maybe you'll take a look at it and maybe try it. That's all that I can do. So it's no different. I still like seeing you play.
You know what I feel like your advice comes down to most of the time?
What's that?
Helping me get a bucket. And I guess that's just naturally because you were, I'm not going to say, I'm going to say you were a gun. You were shot first. I think sometimes I'll be looking for the pass. I'll be in my LeBron bag. You be telling me to turn that Kobe MJ light on real quick. But yeah, that's...
Well, sometimes that's what you got to do. I mean, even, even some games, if you ever remember, Kobe always didn't come out shooting sometimes. Sometimes he did try to get his other players involved. But sometimes you can only do it for so long. Like you got to, even as a point guard, and then when you look at a scoring point guard or a shoot first point guard, like sometimes, I mean, you got to do what the team needs. And like sometimes, most of the time, that's the way that you open up. You open up like that. Like I think the other week we were talking about how Claude used me, and I didn't understand when he brought me off the bench. He brought me off the bench to ignite the team, to take the team up to a different level. So sometimes you might have to go away from what you normally do and then do something else and then go back to what you normally do.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing, like, and I really was talking to some people. I really wanted to see how LeBron did in the game, what that was game 6 with them, right?
Yes.
I really wanted to see, because like when you talk about being a GOAT, he had to really come out aggressive. I know we talk about him being a different type player, but LeBron is a person that scored 50 points before.
Yeah, he can definitely come out aggressively.
Right. But he needs to.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He needs to do that more. Mm-hmm. See, like it's times that I go back when I watch LeBron.
I feel like health wise he couldn't. I felt like that ankle was bothering.
But see, then you know what? Excuse me for cutting you off, but I had to go back to Charles Barkley. I had to go back to what Kenny said. Then you know what? Don't step on the court.
Yeah, I mean, once you're out there, you got to do what's expected of you, regardless.
You think Allen Iverson didn't step out on the court hurt like that?
Well, you heard the stories about Iverson, right? They had to hide his uniform, or like they would have to take his shoes, and then he would be trying to send like the ball boys in New York to like the Foot Locker around the corner from Madison Square Garden to buy him any pair of Reeboks. Like, just get any pair of Reeboks so I can play. So like, yeah, I know a lot of guys always played through the pain.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like he might have been limited. And then I feel like also he felt like the team didn't have it, which was another situation. So after our popcorn man, Dad, we had a couple more incidents. We had a guy run on the floor, and then we also had somebody in Boston throw a bottle at Kyrie Irving. I know this has shifted your stance on fan behavior a little bit. So, I'm going to give you, floor is yours.
Like it's funny and that we say this because, like, about the popcorn incident, it was kind of funny, but then, like, as time went on, because, like I was saying, it was kind of funny, but as time went on, you know what? Then when the bottle incident came, then the popcorn thing wasn't funny no more. It wasn't funny because, like, you know what? I really get to see it because, like, then we talking about, like, when you ask me about penalties or what do I think, and, like, for the popcorn guy, like, for doing wrong or throwing popcorn, and being banded, I go with that. His tickets being revoked and all like that. Now, if we say just for the Sixers, you can't, like, if he traveled to New Jersey or something like that, then okay, let him, like, there. But now I don't even know, even with that, because I think the person that threw the bottle shouldn't be allowed to, like, and I want to say this: no sporting event, period, whether it's football, soccer, golf, or anything. He shouldn't be allowed to even go to anything. And like you said, I think that we need to put his picture up or some kind of way and not do that. Because, like, I mean, he could have really, with that incident, it could really injure somebody. Then who knows if the next person won't go a little bit further. So that's, I think, popcorn and throwing popcorn on players or anything, I think that's too much now. I just had to, it just changed my whole way of seeing things like that. I thought popcorn was a little fun or a little joke thing, but the way that things going, and people throwing bottles, spitting on players and stuff like that, I think them guys should be banned for life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Because at the end of the day, well, one, throwing a bottle, that was that's dangerous, right? And even if it's something like popcorn, you were talking about how back in the day, sometimes you might shower guys running through the tunnel and it could be celebratory, and I think context matters. So, like, it's one thing for your home fans after, you clinch a playoff spot, you know, going to the finals or something, for them to shower you in celebration. But I think it's another thing when you have a guy that's injured walking through a tunnel on the road and you dump popcorn on his. Very inhumane, very disrespectful, and there's just no place for it in the game today. But yeah, I'm glad, I kind of got you on the other side, or I guess not even me, just you seeing that events, knowing that, that kind of crosses the line, I think really is a good thing. And, I'm sure there's other people out there that have similar feelings to seeing, the Westbrook incident and then the Kyrie Irving incident, as well as the Trae Young incident. So I think hopefully we'll begin moving in the right direction as these things are publicized, and hopefully, like you said, people are more villainized for these actions going forward, because there's just no place for them in sports. Dad, my man, Coach K, he's stepping down after this upcoming season. I'm a longtime Duke fan, although I've kind of lost a bit of interest in college basketball over the last several years. I don't know, I just haven't followed it as much as I used to. But what stands out to me is something that Jay Williams mentioned when responding to Coach K retiring, is that the landscape of college basketball is probably shifting quite a bit. And I think it'll continue to shift as we have more and more leagues created that's a different route for players to the NBA. So you got people like LaMelo that can go play overseas and then come to the NBA and be eligible. Then you're going to have these other leagues, even here in the United States, where post high school guys can go get paid, play ball, and, make it to the NBA through that route. And then you even have that overtime elite league that's going to be for high school age kids, 16 to 18, I believe. And they can go play there then probably go to one of these other leagues, and then go to the NBA. So I think that you're going to see less of the top high school, quote unquote, high school recruits going to college programs for a year, but rather they'll end up going to these other leagues where they actually can monetize themselves and also make a salary to provide for their families by going to these other leagues. And I think one thing that we know is that the vast majority of these big time college players in the power conferences are from lower they're from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, so that they're relying on basketball so that they can provide for their families and take care of themselves. NCAA, although they're making moves for players to monetize their name, image, and likeness, I think they're a bit behind the curve when it comes to the reverse side of that, where players are actually paid a salary and can monetize by marketing themselves and capitalizing on their name, image, and likeness. So, that's kind of what stood out the most to me, because I think college basketball is going to look a bit different in the next 5 to 10 years for sure, maybe even sooner.
It definitely, I really think it's definitely going to take an impact on college basketball. And and what's a shame, like I said, to me, and just looking at it and just talking about it right now, it's going to see, like I said, the game of basketball really changed, because like now, so some people is still not going to get the basics that they need to even really play in that league. Like sometimes it's like steps and developing people. And that's why I think the game of basketball is really changing, because you have people that might be one and done, or you might have too much of that now. Now, some people that get to play college basketball and stay in a structure, a real good structure thing. And we only could blame the NCAA for that, because like them making all the money and not letting contribute to nothing. So you can't fault a player for wanting to go after the money. You can't really fault that.
So you mentioned something on the developmental side, and I have to disagree with you, because like even the overtime elite league that we talked about before on the show, and these other leagues, they're focused on preparing guys to play at the next level. So it's not like you just got AU basketball where guys can run crazy. I think, some of these leagues are going to really focus on, like, take the overtime elite league. I think Carmelo and KD are big investors in that. There's some other leagues that are going to probably become more popular and a popular route for players. And I think that, those leagues are going to have NBA guys giving back to the program, helping guys understand what they need to do to get to the next level. And your point about, college being a structured environment, yes, but also basketball in college differs from the NBA. I think with a lot of these leagues, you're going to have the development. So yes, it's less structure than a college program, or it might not even be less structure. It's a different type of structure. But I think that there will be different things in place to prepare them for basketball at that next level. And you talk about, it could have a negative impact. A negative impact, I think, is actually going to be the opposite. Take a guy like Luka, right? Luka has been a pro since he was 14. He comes into the NBA at 19 and wins Rookie of the Year, but also is putting up MVP level numbers, right? So I think that we're actually catching up to what they do in other countries, particularly in Europe, when it comes to player development. So I think it's only going to make our players even better going forward, because we've noticed this for decades. Like, how do these European guys come over? They can, big guys handling the ball, shooting threes, whereas in the United States, our players, the style is a lot different. I think this is only going to help us produce better basketball players in the long run.
See, where we talking about basketball, but I'm talking about, like, schooling. Whatever player, that league caliber player, we got a top-notch player. Let's just say Zion or somebody that would have went there and injure himself and get hurt. Now, what about, are they still going to invest in him and there to try to get him to go to the NBA? Or now he injured and he going. Now, but at least if you in college, you still can get a degree.
Well,
you still could get some, even though now I'm going to say, you would say he could still get the degree and all like that. But suppose he just start playing and he get a freak injury that caused his basketball career to be done, period, done. Now, are he still going to get the schooling or the help to go to school?
Well, so some of these leagues do have a focus on academics or learning a trade, right? So and even the Overtime Elite League, their plan is to provide a lot of educational resources as well. So I think that players are going to they're not giving up education for the sake of playing basketball. And like you said, if someone gets hurt, maybe I don't know what type of benefit plans, because you do have like workers' comp, right? Like, I don't know how that factors in, because there could be the potential for them to still, get paid out some lump sum of money that they can apply to continue their education. So I don't think they'll be left out to dry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. Finish. Finish.
No, that was basically my point. Like, I don't
see
think
what I'm saying is
dry, though.
Okay. I know that I'm gonna make millions of dollars. Do you think I'm gonna be focused on education, or I'm gonna be focused on really just trying to get that money, or I'm gonna be worrying about doing some classes or having to have a great point average, or I'm just gonna go after the money?
Well, that's what happens in college basketball. That's why college basketball probably isn't the best route, because half the time players can't even choose their own majors. They're forced to take cooking classes or, something else that's super easy just to maintain GPA, or that they don't have to devote as much time to academics. That's why a guy like Lawrence Funderburk left Indiana and went to Ohio State, because he wanted to major in finance, and they was like, no, you can't do that, man. We need you to major in this art major or whatever, because we need you in this gym 24/7.
So you saying they was afraid that he wouldn't make the grades in that?
It's also a more demanding major. It takes more time. And
right.
If you got to devote more time to academics, that means it's less time you're devoting towards basketball. And that's why college sports is at the highest of levels are so messed up, because they want to push the student athlete narrative, right? But you're really not a student first. They want to paint it as you're a student first, but you're really not, based on the way they treat you and what's expected and required of you from an athletic standpoint.
Well, I'm agree. I'm gonna say so. But some people do go there. Like, I know when I went to school, it was people there that really went to school and really got grades, and some of them had real tough majors, and they really had to do that. But they still played basketball. I understand what you're saying, that they push, or some people do that but see, sometimes it's still that we make them choices. Them players want the easy way to get that money.
But that I think when you dig into it, though, you'll see that they're pushed a certain way. They're pushed a certain way to choose a major, and there's stories from actual people that's like, yeah, they didn't let me major in this if I wanted to be on the team.
Okay, so you tell me, like, when Michael went to North Carolina, they probably made him choose what they want him to choose?
Potentially. I don't know his story. I don't know his case. But
you know what? I think
there's a lot of times where players are pushed to select certain majors, or they're pushed away from certain majors to take ones that may be less demanding. And then you have players that are going to be one and dones that don't care anyway, so they're just taking the general classes that first year, and then they're gone because they know they're out after.
Right.
So I don't
like, I know
college is really an advantage at that point, because you can always go back if you're just anyway.
I know one player, and what he always told me was, like, the second semester of his senior year, all he did was went to the gym. Because he didn't even go to class no more. He just went to the gym. So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of time in that situation, that it's going to be probably left, and I don't know because, like I said, I don't know that situation either. But it's probably going to be left up to players whether they want to try to pursue education, because you know what, the
Well,
bottom line is it's going to be for them to make money. And see one thing that I think with college now, college basketball probably is not going to be it, because you're going to have players that would all be probably going to college, making college basketball exciting still. It may not really be that exciting because they may not really have the players to
yeah,
make that exciting.
I don't think they're gonna have the top talent going forward, because these guys are gonna play in all these other different leagues, whether it's the G League, whether it's these other leagues that are coming about here in the States. And as far as I know some of these leagues too, there's an emphasis on, like, as long as you're playing in that league, they're helping you work towards getting a degree or learning some trade. So that's a focus there. I'm sure there's going to be requirements around it. Because the other thing you got to think about too is when you're like, let's say, even if you learn a trade, right? And let's say the NBA doesn't work out, but now plumbing, right? Now you can say, all right, I'm done with basketball. I can open up my own plumbing business. And now the money you've made from playing in this league is your startup money to start your business. So I think it's going to really help, especially when you're talking about people like us, right? From lower income backgrounds. Now you're capitalizing on your basketball talent. And even if the NBA doesn't work out, you now know plumbing, so you can start your own business and come back to whatever town you want to settle down in, whatever city, and can be self-sustainable. And now you're taking your family, your bloodline to that next step. So I think it's a lot of great things that will come out of this approach. Whereas to this point in time, the NCAA has kind of monopolized, that post high school, pre-professional sports for athletes.
Like I said, I think the NCAA did, create this on itself. But like I said, and it's good and bad in everything. It's good and bad. Just like I said, like, what, even if college sports now, college basketball, some people that might not got a chance to play college basketball get a chance to play college basketball.
That's true.
So now it might give a person that, you might could see some talent in a person that you might have didn't get to see that before. Now, so it, like I said, it could be good and it could hurt. Now, another thing that I say, what it's going to do, it's going to take some of that TV revenue away from NCAA and put on them other leagues. Mm-hmm. So they're going to get some of that, because they're going to probably have to start something where they could be seen on TV, showcasing and money too. So I think that now, for some other sports where, like they say, the money from certain colleges, that the money that some colleges get for tennis now some tennis players might not be able to get seen now because they don't get the money at the college level no more.
Or they can't fund those programs as much.
Right. So I mean, like I said, it's good and bad and all. Too,
I think some of these other leagues, though, I think basketball could just be the start, right? We could start to see this approach applied to other sports as well. Eventually, maybe even football, though football is probably more expensive to do something like this with. But I think if the model is successful and it works for basketball, then I don't see why you couldn't do it for other sports like a tennis or, golf or football, volleyball. I think you would begin to see, a transition to this model or this avenue away from the world we know. Because, basically we've been brainwashed to this point by the NCAA that this is the route. This is the gold standard when it comes to making it to the next level. I think that we're going to see a shift in that. But Dad, before we get out of here, I saw a meme, not a meme. Well, it was a post on Instagram, and it was like, what does a successful season look like for your team? Looking at NBA teams, basically hitting at, does your team have to win a championship? Does your team have to make the playoffs for it to be deemed a successful season? So it just made me think too, like, what does a successful season look like in our lives, right? Because again, this is the podcast where life meets basketball. So it just had me thinking of and really reflecting on some things. So I'll ask that question to you. What does a successful season look like in your life?
To me, like, you know what? I'm going to just say where I went into this job and how I went into this job. I really just went there and was just really going through motions. But from like, and I'm going to say the team or the people that I first was surrounded with made me want to do more, made me do more, and make me wanted to progress. So like it was an old saying, like, you know what? I went in that job as shit and I returned into some chicken salad or something like that. So like that's what I think. I think it's been successful for me in my growth and in my mind and doing my job and feeling good about going to work and doing what I got to do on that job right now. And being a person that hopefully to help somebody else that might have came in feeling the way that I feel. So me looking back and helping somebody, that's a successful season, even if I don't get to be a boss or something like that. I don't have to have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And then, I think in our lives, we have things we desire or we want to work towards. And take an NBA team, take the Knicks, right? The Knicks haven't been in a playoff since like 2013 or something. Right. They made it to the playoffs this year. Granted, they only won one game, and you would have thought winning that one game that they won it all. But for them, that was a successful season because now Knicks basketball is back on the map. They had some sort of foundation that they're working with. They probably need to attract a big star there, someone that's a top 10, top 5 player in the league to make even more noise or to get out of the first round. Because I think with the group that they have currently, it won't happen with them. But take the Knicks, right? So they went from nothing to shocking the world and making the playoffs, something, and being a 4 seed. So in our lives, when you equate that to something, it could be, working to start a business, grow a business, and sure, you might be barely breaking even, but a successful year might be improving your margins by 5%, whatever. It could be you want to go back, pursue another level of education. A successful season for you could be preparing yourself to get a good score on, a GRE or a GMAT exam, or even, getting that good score that you're looking for. So for me, when I'm looking at this question, it can vary based on the time frame or the objective at hand. But a successful season is when you make progress towards that goal that you're working towards. So I just want everybody that's listening to think about what's your goal for this season of your life and really try to track that progress, stay focused on it day in and day out. And then once you reach the end of this season, evaluate your performance. Was it a successful season for you or not?
I just want to just probably add one thing or say one thing to that. You know what? Try having successful days. And them successful days will add up after a year. If you have so many successful days that outweigh your non-successful days, you're going to be a winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree too. Breaking it down one day at a time. Small steps, great distances.
That's right.
But yeah, Dad, we got to get out of here. Great show, man. Love.
Oh yeah, I told you. I just couldn't wait for the show.
Talk to you a little bit. I think this is a good one. Hopefully everyone listening enjoys it as well. I need you to do us a favor, a couple favors if you're listening. One, make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts. Shoot, let me say that again. Make sure you're Make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, whatever. Just make sure you click that subscribe button and leave that 5-star review. Also, you can find the podcast again on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the No Stopping Kev Show, and make sure you follow us on Instagram at the No Stopping Kev Show as well. But people, enjoy the NBA playoffs. Enjoy WNBA basketball. I was out all day yesterday. I missed some games. Forgot to record them, so I'm kicking myself. But maybe I can find them on YouTube. But I'll look to catch the next set. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you same time, same place next week. Peace.
Peace.